There are people out there right now who are starting businesses.
Absolutely.
We know exactly what that feels like.
You're right in front of them, so it's like having a billboard that you're actually putting right in front of somebody's face.
When you're considering adding corporate apparel to your brand, these are some things that you should consider.
A lot of website companies, they build it and then they have the ownership of it, and then you don't. You want to own your website.
Welcome to the Marketing Compass, your guide to navigating through the dynamic world of marketing and advertising. Whether you're a seasoned marketer or just starting out, join us on this journey as we explore the latest trends, strategies, and insights that will steer you and your business towards success. I'm Ryan Sigler, and I'm thrilled to be your host on this marketing journey. And I want to say today we have a special episode for you. We have a special guest, an award-winning author from Worcester, Ohio. I'm truly excited to introduce one of the nicest men I've ever met, Bob Adamov. He's thrilled to be here, and I'm thrilled here for this episode. This is going to be good. So Bob, let's just jump into this. Why don't we start off by you telling us about your background, a little bit about your background and what led you or gave you the desire to start writing books.
Okay. Well, thanks for having me. I really appreciate the opportunity, Ryan. I'm one of your biggest fans because of the great work you do for me. But I wanted to write since I was 8 years old. Mom used to take my brother and drop him off at the Akron Art Institute so he could take lessons. But me, I was dropped off at the Akron Public Library main branch, where I got to spend my mornings with my favorite authors. And then I would walk to checkout, and I'd have stacks of books, always trying to go over the limit, and librarians wouldn't let me do it. So back when I was 8, I wanted to start writing books. And so for all those years, it perked. And I didn't really start writing until I was 51. So when I went to college, I wrote my first term paper at Kent State. I got called into the English professor's office. She asked me who wrote it for me. And I said, I wrote it, and I explained it. She didn't believe me. She wouldn't give me the A. She gave me a B+. So I worked at the radio station at WKSU, and I started off in radio and TV broadcasting. But a couple of years later, I decided to switch to business. So I went into the corporate world. Worked 21 years at Goodyear, got involved with takeover battles, human resources, public relations, investor relations. Then I was recruited out of Goodyear. I went to another company as a vice president of human resources, public relations, and investor relations, and then moved around Northeast Ohio at several companies. In 2002, I started writing my first novel and released it because I turned 50. 50 didn't bother me, but when I turned 51, so I'm going to write that novel and started working on it. So I released the first novel on October 19th of 2002. And since then, 19 novels have come out. It's just been a blast doing this. Chasing after my dream. It's just been a fun ride.
So 19 novels in 15 years. No.
22
I can't
years
count.
now.
Yeah,
22 years
so
now.
almost one a year.
Yeah.
That's impressive. Yeah. Awesome. Do you want to go over how we met?
Sure.
I mean, it's probably not a glamorous story, but
No.
you might remember more details than me. But
Sir, you were doing website design work at Smart Digital in Ashland. And I was on their board of advisors, and I saw the amazing job that you did for them. And I was having some problems with my website, so I asked you to take a look at it. And you did a great job in bringing it up to speed, making it more consumer-friendly, reader-friendly. And that's how we met. And then you started doing other work for me, marketing work.
Yep.
And banners, signs, and then you did a layout for me, text layout for a book. And I was so pleased by what you did and really amazed, because this is something that nobody else has done, is in exceeding my expectations. A project that normally would take 2 weeks, you were turning it around in 4 hours. And the cost was so competitive. I couldn't believe it. So you really helped me with my process and getting my books published faster because of that closure of the time gap.
Yep.
And then the next big thing was you'd been asking me about having an opportunity to design a cover for me, and I was pretty pleased with the guy who was doing it for me. And when I took a book that's outside of the series, I said, well, why don't you go ahead and do it? And it was Memory Lane, the one with the fairy book on the cover. And it's so much fun when I get something from you. And I just have given you a few rough ideas of what I think it should look like. And I turn you loose. And using that creative power that you have, that's absolutely incredible, you usually nail it on the first pop. And it's just wonderful what you do.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Yeah, it's I had to kind of fight. I really wanted to do a book cover. I don't think I'd ever done an actual book cover for anyone before, and I'm like, man, I really want to stab at this. And yeah, Memory Lane, I think was the first. Was it the first one, Memory Lane? Yeah, and so yeah, it's probably, I think a week or two ago in our Blue River meeting, Monday morning meeting, we have what was our hurdles last week and what was a highlight. And my highlight is always, well, I did a new cover for Bob Adamov because I don't have a deadline. I mean, yeah, you don't say, hey, I got to have this by Friday. So most of my stuff is deadline driven. And then you never say, I got to have it exactly like this. You give me some ideas, and then I design it, and it's just so much fun. They're literally my favorite design project. And I've been designing for 20 years, and they're a blast, so I appreciate it. Next, how does marketing integrate into the publishing industry? How has it affected the using of marketing strategies and design? How is that integrated in the publishing industry?
It's so critical. So authors, a lot of them don't understand the impact that the marketing side has. So they might have a good book. The content might be good. But if the cover doesn't scream, pick me up, that bookstore shelf, that's part of the issue. So they need a good cover to attract readers. But then you have to create market awareness. And how do you create market awareness? Well, I use a lot of social media. I've built a following. When I go out to yacht clubs or boat shows or country clubs to market my books, I try to capture email addresses, and I try to friend people to follow me on Facebook. And so I've built up a huge following by that. And when it's time to release a new book, I do an email blast to people who I've met, who've bought my books. Because of your website design, I can pick up emails from that, and they're part of it, and I do an initial blast. And then a lot of the people who have bought my books in the past but maybe didn't make that purchase after that first email blast, I'll select their emails and send out a second blast to them. And the new book is just taken off, a lot of it because of the marketing. I find friends telling other friends about the books. I think signage is important. So you've created signs for me to give to my vendors to put in their store windows, which help attract traffic, and some book displays next to the cash registers help with that immediate buy. When they're there, they'll buy the book. But the marketing part of it is so critical, to go out there, meet people, and have the right marketing material with you. Might be book cards, might be some postcards, but you need to have those available because maybe they don't buy today, but if they have that little pocket card with a book synopsis on the back with your website, they get home, they say, remember that guy we talked to? We ought to buy that book. And that happens. I'll see it happen.
Awesome. How has marketing, well, that kind of answers that. How has it helped you? But what marketing tools, and you kind of briefly touched on social media, so you're using, but what tools, I guess, are you not using that you would like to add in the future, that what you see coming down the road per se in the marketing realm and how it relates to publishing? What new marketing tools do you think, such as AI, that you want to add to your repertoire that might increase sales for you?
Well, I think I want to explore with you folks using YouTube channels, creating one. We've got some videos already that we've created in the past. I think we could load up. Then Pinterest. I've been doing a lot of research on Pinterest. I think that's a huge opportunity. The right group of readers. And then also there are lists, reader lists that you can buy that I'm investigating to send emails. So rather than taking a shotgun approach into that marketplace,
That's right.
I'll use a targeted approach at the mystery adventure readers who are more likely to buy a book than somebody who's only interested in romance or science fiction.
That's right. I believe we're going to take a break. Before we continue our journey through the dynamic world of marketing, let's take a moment and shine a spotlight on a project that's been turning heads and setting the bar high. So welcome to our Spotlight feature. For this project Spotlight, we wanted to actually showcase the design of Bob Adamov's newest book, Holden's Promise. And so here's my Photoshop file, and you can see all the different layers here. I even break them out into folders, but I have certain, like my text in certain files, and then even like the birds are on a layer, these different birds. It's just so much fun to, the ship. I even had highlights on the actual trawler boat, which I can zoom in and show you. So this is way zoomed in, but I've added, some orange highlights to the cross members and so on, and it gets really detailed, that's why it's so much fun to design these, because you can get as creative as you want to be with the highlights, the shadows, and be very creative in your artistic ability to create realism or a realistic cover if that's what you're aiming for. So then when I save this at its size, the correct size with the spine and all of that, and this is the back cover, so then I import that into Adobe InDesign, and then it renders text a lot better, so it's just easier to put the cover into InDesign that way. So it's barcode and all of that go into InDesign. So here's the book layout. It's an InDesign file. So Bob actually, after he's done writing his book and it's been proofread and edited and so on, I then take his Word file and then put it into a page layout. So you can see that this one is hundreds of pages, 200 and some, I believe, or 196 pages. So I also do all of this page layout for his book as well. So I love these projects, and so this is a great project for our Spotlight. Welcome back to the Marketing Compass podcast. We hope you enjoyed our featured segment in the Project Spotlight. Bob, let's jump into your books, the titles, what's hot, all the above. So, first of all, what type of novels do you write?
Okay, they're mystery adventure novels that are geared for that audience.
I'm not an avid reader, but I gotta say I've read, I don't know, it's not a lot of books, but I will say Bob is my favorite author to read. His books are amazing. They capture me, which is hard to do because I'm not even an avid reader. And I love reading his books. My mom loves reading his books. Everyone I talk to loves reading his books. And the mystery adventure, the Emerson Moore, you need to get yourself one and find out how Emerson gets himself into trouble and tries to drag himself out of it. But yeah, love his novels. So how many novels do you currently have? I think it was
19. I'm working on 20 right now, developing 21, and thinking about what 22 is going to look like.
Awesome. Holden's Promise. This is the book. It's brand new. Holden's Promise. Hope you can see that. It's his latest release. I just got done designing this cover and laying out the book, but it's on Amazon. He's went from hardback to paperback on this one, and you can buy this book on his website, bobadamov.com. Or PackardIslandPublishing.com, and then you can shop for it on Amazon. He has an Amazon store. Yeah, get you a book. So I want to do one thing before I end this. I want to read, do we have your awards on one of the back?
They're inside.
On this one, it's right, the last page, right?
The second page from the beginning. And do you want a recap of all my books? I can do a 2-minute recap.
Sure.
Okay. So, first book was Rainbow's End. First part of it is Civil War based, like Clive Cussler, and then jumps up to a modern mystery. Pierce the Veil is a corporate takeover battle book. When Rainbows Walk is a book set down in Key West with a heist of Mel Fisher's treasure during the eye of Hurricane Charlie. Promised Land, serial murders in Put-in-Bay and New Orleans. Other Side of Hell, from Put-in-Bay to Key West to the Cayman Islands with scuba action. Tan Lines, the president disappears 2 days before the convention in Cleveland. Sandusky is a worldwide chase to find the clues to the puzzle regarding the Nazarenes Code. Zenobia, human trafficking from Put-in-Bay to Toledo down to Naples, Florida. Then Missing, our hero's memory goes missing when he's hijacked in a van in Detroit by the mafia, and he ends up losing his memory and becoming a hitman for the mob. Golden Torpedo, set down in Key West and Atlanta, Georgia, involves Franklin Roosevelt's death. Then Chincoteague Calm, something's causing the rockets at the NASA base on Wallops Island to explode. Flight, you go from Put-in-Bay to Key West down to Cuba. It involves the drug traffic between Cuba and Key West. Then Assateague Dark, we're back up to the Delmarva Peninsula with drug running and cocaine. Then Memory Lane, it involves a retired ferryboat captain who lives by the Miller Ferry dock. He's fighting Alzheimer's and a bad heart, 2 evil stepdaughters, and 2 their biker boyfriends. Then Sunset Blues, Emerson's aunt goes missing. The hunt is on to find her and rescue her, and they end up down in Key West. White Spider Night is a true murder mystery. Something happens at 2 B&Bs on Put-in-Bay, involves Middle Bass Island. Then we have the 20th anniversary issue of Rainbow's End. And then Sawdust Joint is a semi-James Bond adventure. I wrote that with the assistance of the president from the Ian Fleming Foundation, Mike Van Blaricum. Mike wanted to be Q when he met Q. He knows all the James Bond characters. And I told Mike, I'll put you in the book as V. You can be my Q. So that leads us up to Holden's Promise. which just came out on March the 1st. It has been my fastest selling book. It's amazing. It's set down on the beaches between North Myrtle Beach and Wilmington. And something's going on the river, the Charlotte River at night with this retired shrimper. And there are two teenagers whose boat sinks off of Holden Beach. And there's a kidnapping and a touch of romance in this book.
I just want to read some of Bob's critiques, per se. So, Midwest Book Review says Adamov is a superb craftsman of hanging on the edge of your seat mystery adventures. Adamov's natural flair for originality and narrative storytelling style that is laced with unexpected plot twists and turns that will keep and hold the readers fully entertained and rapt attention from cover to cover. That's also from Midwest Book Review. Adamov was voted 2022 Best Lake Erie Author, Lake Erie Living Magazine. One of Publish Ohio's favorite authors, PublishOhio.com. Memory Lane, the book Memory Lane, was named the Best Fictional Novel and Action Adventure finalist at the 2022 Next Generation Indie Awards.
Must be because you designed the cover.
It has to be, yeah. A great read from Clive Cussler. Enough action to satiate James Bond fans, Lansing State Journal. Memory Lane reminds me of Nicholas Sparks' The Notebook. Charles Meyer, Key West author and star of the Science Channel's The Curse of the Bermuda Triangle. Great local book, says Eastern Shore of Virginia Tourism. The book is like slipping on a pair of broken-in boat moccasins, comfortable and familiar. Cleveland Magazine. Honorable mention, the Great Midwest, Florida, Hollywood, New York, and London book festivals. He's got honorable mention at all of those. One of the best novels in Northeast Ohio, says the Akron Beacon Journal. Fascinating tale of corporate greed, violence, and betrayal, says in the Sun newspapers. This series is a must-read for any diver or Clive Cussler fan. Visibility Divers Magazine. 2003 Great Lakes Book Award finalist, Great Lakes Independent Booksellers Association. So when we say award-winning, he's definitely award-winning.
I should mention Emerson Moore, our protagonist. He's an investigative reporter for the Washington Post. And so it allows him to go off on all these jaunts and adventures around the world, which is a fun thing to do.
Awesome. It's been a pleasure. I think we're going to close it out there as we wrap up another episode of the Marketing Compass. We want to extend our gratitude to our fantastic listeners. We hope you find today's insights valuable and how it relates to marketing, especially for the publishing industry. Hopefully you learn a little bit about marketing and how it can work in publishing. We also want you to visit bobadamov.com, pick up a book. They're wonderful reads. I can't suggest that enough. Show us some love by liking and subscribing to the Marketing Compass podcast, and it's available on all major platforms. Thank you for watching, and until next time, keep navigating the world of marketing with confidence.